This is a beginning point. This is the beginning of the rest of my life. I got the meaning, and I got to write it down, because I don't want to forget it. Just win, baby.
And welcome back to the Gold Jacket Podcast with me, your host, Gymnastic. I apologize if I slip up this episode. I've been up for a while. But with me, as always, is my co-host, Connor Donald. We're part of the True North Fantasy Football Network. You can check us out on TrueNorthFFB.com. Check us out here on YouTube and Periscope. Don't know what that's on. TikTok. You can hit us all. So this week, man, I am really tired. This week we got a special guest, man, friend of the show, friend of me and Connor's, the one, the only, Mr. Elite Seeker himself with the Destination Devy, Ben Eby. Ben, man, how you been?
Man, I'm good. I appreciate it. I feel like this has been too long, man. I haven't even jumped on the show yet, and we've been chatting for way longer. So I'm pumped to be here for the first time.
Yeah, man. Enjoying it. Connor, man, how you been?
I've been good, man. Just tearing up some carpet in my basement, getting ready to redo flooring this weekend. So that is the fun of my life right now.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Fucking banging sugar to try to stay awake.
You've been pounding out the overtime work and everything.
Yeah, man. I've been up since midnight. But we're gonna do this. This week we got a fun show for you. We're gonna do a way too early rookie mock draft. I'm looking forward to it, so I know what Connor's gonna be picking on teams that I'm not co-managing with him. And yeah, we're gonna see this along with Ben too. I think I might be in a couple of leagues with you. Let's see who you're gonna end up going. Looking forward to this, man. I've done a couple mocks. There's been some crazy sliding on some players that were consensus round ones. Dudes slipping up to the second round that were not even being drafted last month. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys, who I respect very much, are going to be selecting. So let's get this going.
Definitely. I'm pumped for this. I set the rookie mock up. So it's going to be a pretty laid back. We each got 1 minute if we really want a whole minute to talk about who we drafted. And I basically did the order based on I don't know. I did some randomizer and Ben got 1, I got 2, and Jim got 3, and then we're just going to keep cycling like that. So let's get this party started, and with one of probably the easiest picks of the entire draft, hopefully. Maybe Ben will blow us out of the water here. Maybe he'll shake it up.
Baker Mayfield style.
So Ben, we'll hand it off to you with the 101.
Yeah, this is an easy one. I'm not crazy. I'm all about the elite seekers, and this guy fits that mold. You know, he's expensive no matter which way you look at it. That's Trevor Lawrence, T-Law. We're talking about the best quarterback prospect since a guy named Andrew Luck. Hopefully it turns out and lasts a little bit longer than that show did. But man, you got to jump on that. He's got some great weapons there in Jacksonville, and it's going to be a good one. So Trevor Lawrence, easy pick, number 1. Not even going to sway there.
I love it. Keeping it nice and easy. Not buying into Chris Sims or any of this hype around some other guys.
Yeah, they get muted.
What about you, Connor? Are you going to throw a wrench in this or what? Because are you going to be the guy that throws the consensus wrench in here or?
I am actually, you know what? I am going to throw a wrench in because with the 102 for me, I'm going Najee Harris. Me and you were talking, Jim, earlier. I said I think 4 of these quarterbacks have a starting job in 5 years. You think 3. So for me, what's a sure thing? Najee Harris is a damn sure thing. He's drawing comparisons to Derrick Henry, but with hands and the capabilities of doing things in the passing game and stuff. I got to go with Najee Harris, and I think he's going to get the landing spot to boot with it. So, I mean, if there's almost a sure thing behind Trevor Lawrence in this draft, I think it's Najee Harris.
Ooh, I love Najee, man. RB1. I like it. I might actually make that move in some rookie drafts because I don't really need the quarterback. But, this is a super flex draft. So 103, you're letting them fall to me, man. I'm taking Justin Fields. The guy should have went 102. Connor probably had quarterbacks locked up, so he went with positional need. But even if I don't need the guy, I'm taking the quarterback just based on league necessity. No other premiums in this scoring format. It's Justin Fields, man. Easy.
Keeping it nice and easy. All right, Ben, come back to you at 104.
Hey, I'm not going to keep the quarterback train rolling, although I could see that going some ways in drafts, especially when we're talking super flex, whether it might be 6 points or 4 points for passing touchdowns. But I'm going with Jamar Chase, man. He is an absolute stud, and I think people really forgot about what he's all about. He dominated on an amazing offense with Joe Burrow, with Justin Jefferson, and he is going to be a star, and he's going to get picked early. So I'm not passing up on a guy that I expect to be a top 10 receiver, back-end top 10 receiver out of the gates. I think he's going to end up in a situation where he's going to put up massive numbers in year one. And, I don't know if he'll put up, obviously you can't really predict the Justin Jefferson type year. That's a record-breaking year, but I think he's going to be pushing 1,100 yards in if he's the wide receiver one, wherever he ends up. So I think that's a huge chance, and he's got the talent to do it.
He's gonna end up in Philadelphia with my boys, my boy Jalen Hurts and the crew there. That's a dream.
We're going to take 1,000 yards or 1,100 yards. I'm taking as a rookie, man. That's good production right there.
Massive, yeah.
Definitely love that one. So for me here at the 105, I'll make it simple. I'll go Trey Lance. I
knew you were going
flex the QB. I like Trey Lance. I like Trey Lance more than Zack Wilson. I like Trey Lance as my QB3 in this draft. I've read a lot about him. I've seen a lot from him. He's got crazy size. His athleticism's off the charts. His mobility's off the charts. This man, like, if you dig into his passing, you look into like his learning habits and stuff, he is gonna be a guy who learns the game, and he's gonna take every advantage to become the best quarterback that he can possibly be. And I wouldn't be surprised if he really surprises people despite where he's coming from. I read an article in The Athletic a while back, and this man's crazy. I think he's going to be really good in the NFL.
I like it. So for my selection, 106, you're probably thinking I'm taking another QB. I'm actually not. I'm taking a running back. Similar to last year with DeAndre Swift falling. This guy is seeming to be falling. He was a consensus one running back for, 3 years running, and now – I'm seeing everywhere he's running back 4, running back 5. They got dudes I don't even know up until last year going ahead of him, man. It's Travis Etienne. They sat him in the fourth quarter. That's how bad they crushed teams, man. Like, are you kidding me? This guy could have racked up more stats if he wanted to. They pulled him, man. Don't fucking overthink this, man. Even right now, people now are wanting DeAndre Swift so badly when they passed on him. Could have had him. I'm taking him here, 106, easy.
Love it. Man. Keeping it nice and simple for us. You're up, Ben. What do you got here at the 107?
All right. So I know this is not a tight end premium, but I am going to reach a little bit, and I think this is an easy one. I think that when you get a stud tight end, it absolutely gives you such an advantage if you get a guy in the top 3, top 4, and I think this guy has a chance to challenge for that. So I'm going with Kyle Pitts. It's an easy one for me. I love the talent. I just love that, position scarcity, and I'm not trying to mess with anybody from like tight end 10 and on because we play that every offseason, who can run the fastest, jump the highest, and we end up you don't end up finding all the pieces that work out. So you're really just missing out on points all year. And my top teams always have a great tight end, and Kyle Pitts, if he hits like he can, it's gonna be a big time piece.
Is Pitts a guy you're willing to just sit on your bench? Like, you're not going to panic sell if he doesn't produce year one?
Yeah, I never panic sell on rookies. You know, I'm pretty stubborn, especially if I draft them. So, you know, I've never been a guy that's going to panic sell. I don't expect a tight end position to come out in you know, year one and absolutely dominate. So if I was getting 600 yards from a tight end in year one, I'd be very, very happy with that. But knowing that I could trade him at any point in the season, regardless of production, is a big thing. So I don't think he loses any value regardless of production.
I like it, man. And I like how you don't panic sell. And I hope people, you know, I might actually just cut that for the preview clip, man. People need to know that you can sell him at a profit at any point in the season, regardless of production. That's a great pick, man.
Yeah, I like the pick of Kyle Pitts too. Another guy getting mocked at Philadelphia quite a bit. So I don't know if I'd be disappointed with Pitts or Chase. So you got two guys, one likely to land in Philadelphia. Praying for my boys. At the 108, I'm gonna go with Devonte Smith. I'm gonna allow some QBs to continue to fall because I love Devonte Smith. I think too many people are making something at a size, and it's something that's at a nothing. I mean, I saw the Jalen Hurts interview the other day, and he was talking. I was on Schefter's podcast, and he was talking about Devonte Smith. You hear nothing but good things from the people who pass him the ball, and that is what I care about more than what some analysts or film watchers are telling me, or someone who's saying hand size matters or whatever. Devonte Smith is a monster. It doesn't even matter what size he is. He's going to be able to produce no matter what. I mean, Tyreek Hill's not a big guy, and look what he does. He's a speed demon. He's all over the field. He's taking advantage of any and every little hole that's open in the defense, and that's what Devonte Smith is going to do. And right behind Jamar Chase, I do have him as my wide receiver too. I think he's going to be a monster.
So even though we talked, and I think, you know, in 5 years, only 3 QBs are going to have a job, doesn't matter. I think there's going to be more QBs that have a job this year, and I don't care about 5 years from now. I'm taking the guy that was throwing the passes to that Heisman Trophy winner. I'm taking Mac Jones. I think he's going to get a starting job, and that's basically the sole reason why I'm willing to swing on him. Really, if it was my first pick at 106, maybe I'd think about it. But since he ended up sliding here, I was kind of gambling on it. Yeah, it's easy for me, man. So it's a super flex again, man. I'll take him. He's going to have a job this year. Who cares if he doesn't next year, because you can trade him in midseason.
I like it.
Awesome.
I like it. Good way to go. Good mentality there. Ben, let's round out the backstretch of round number 1 here.
Yeah, 110. I definitely got to take Zack Wilson, even if I don't love him. He's gonna probably have a chance to be a starter this year, whether he sits a few games early on or goes to a place where he's starting right out of the gates. And some people love him, so there's gonna be someone in my league that wants to trade for this guy because he's fun to watch. You know, he puts together good highlight tape, and hey, maybe it works. Where, you know, you start to see some, you know, we'll see what the preseason looks like if we have one, but, you know, he's a guy that could just, you know, tear it up in training camp, and the talent is there. So he's a, you know, high risk, high reward type player, but at 110 and super flex, again, the ability to trade him whenever you want. To me, that's a slide in value. So I'll take that right there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of guys who love Zack Wilson. I'm not a big Zack Wilson fan, and our boy TNF Tyrell has dropped some stats about the hit rate of quarterbacks coming in from non-Power 5 conferences and stuff. It ain't a pretty hit rate. It definitely is not a pretty one. So, I mean, there's a lot of love for Zack Wilson. I agree with you guys on this one. Clearly, none of us have a whole lot of love for him if he's dropped all the way to 110 in a super flex rookie mock right here. So, that interesting drop there. Next for me at the 111 to round it to come to the end of the first round for me, I am going to go with Javonta Williams.
Ooh, I thought he was going to fall to 12.
There was a debate. There was a debate going on between a wide receiver and a running back in my head. But Javonta Williams has definitely come out as this guy who can do it all. He was a monster. Him and Michael Carter. I love both of them. I love Michael Carter. I think there's a job to be had for him in the NFL just as much as people think that Javonta Williams is a better back into that backfield. I'm not necessarily 100% buying that he ends up the best one. I think Javonta Williams is going to be dependent a bit more on landing spot than Travis Etienne or Najee Harris. But I'm going with Javonta Williams here because he's a do it all back right now. And right now, without a landing spot, he's a pretty sexy pick to take at the end of round 1.
I like it.
I like it. Yeah.
I'm going to gamble, and I'm debating between a quarterback and a wide receiver. I'm going to play the gamble game and see if this quarterback falls to me, because after, like I said, really it's T-Law, and then I don't really fault anybody for their 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ratings. Like, it's pretty jumbled, I think, and dependent on landing spot. So I'm going to go with my wide receiver 2, Rashad Bateman.
I love it. That was where my debate was. It was Williams or Bateman, and I was like, what do I do?
So are we snaking this, or are we going right back to the top?
We're going right back to the top again. Before we do that, though, quick shout out to Viridian Global, one of our many sponsors. They gave us our wonderful shirts, our beautiful hats, all the great gear that the podcasters wear. So make sure you go and support them. ViridianGlobal.com. Follow them on Twitter at Viridian Global. VERIDIAN is Viridian Global. I'm sure they're gonna have some fun stuff going on throughout this off season, and then heading towards the season and the draft. So we're going right back up to you, Ben, at the 201.
This is crazy. This is where you're like gonna be blown away. If you got early second round picks, you're just gonna be like, how did I get these guys? This is what I love about this class. So this one's an easy one for me because I actually debated taking him on the last pick, and that's wide receiver Rondale Moore. He is an all-purpose weapon and someone that's just gonna, put in the right situation, has the ability to be a Tyreek level producer. But I think he's more versatile than that. So I'm really pumped up. He's a running back that can, essentially run receiver routes. Yeah, man. And you see what he's doing. You see what he's doing out there. He's a rock, man. He's a little freaking cannonball just flying all over. So I'm pumped for this one. It's definitely an elite. He's crazy, man. He's just so explosive, right? He's going to have to stay on. I think he's going to fall a little bit because people are worried about injuries. He's had a few injuries in college, but holy hell, Rondale Moore, if he hits his ceiling, that's a scary dude right there.
Definitely hitting the 201 with a bang for sure. For me, oh man, this is tough. It gets tough, but it's really fascinating how, like you said, like where the direction of these mocks can go and where the direction of these draft goes, especially with landing spots. But Jim's gonna love this one. I'm going with Tylan Wallace. I'm going with my guy at 202 for me. I've talked at length with some other people. I've talked to people who hate him. I've talked to people who love him. I'm one of those guys who loves him. And when we were talking to Angelo last week, I think it was last week, we had Angelo from Angelo Analysis come on, and we were talking about him. And a lot of people are worried about the separation that he can create. And he's like, look at the NFL. Some people don't need to create that separation. And I know his comparison was Allen Robinson, like is somewhat comparable. I know that Jim hates that, but you don't always have to be able to create separation. Like some of these guys can do it without. Like, look at his college career, the amount of 100-yard games this guy had, the amount of just the volume of yardage, the volume of targets, the volume of receptions, touchdowns. He has it all. And I just don't think that a guy like that completely falters in the NFL. I think there's a spot for him to be had in the NFL. There will be someone who takes him probably in round 3 or something and gets a really good value out of this wide receiver.
Okay, so for me, drafting based on this team from the 3, so has Justin Fields already. Yay! Call me Billy Idol, man, because if there's a wide receiver, I want him, or I want more of them, man. I wanted Rondale. I want DJ. I want Jason Moore. I don't care. Give me Elijah Moore though, man. At the 203, this guy produced with DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, throwing Dawson Knox. He was still like he produced with 3 NFL caliber players in college, and he returns kicks, man. So give me a guy that's going to do it on special teams. He's going to see his way on the field, and if you get those bonus points for kick returns and punt returns, man, that's just a little bit of extra bonus money for you, man.
Yeah, I love Elijah Moore, man. The more that I see him, the more that I'm falling in love with him. And like some people were like, "Oh, he's a slot receiver," and we're gonna bury ourselves in this idea after what happened with Justin Jefferson last year. If you're a slot receiver who can do what Elijah Moore can do, there is a place for you in the NFL. There is a place for everything that you can do, and he can turn nothing into a whole lot of something.
Like I said, even if he's a wide receiver 3 on a team, he's going to see the field just based on special teams. That's going to get him more playability when they see what he can do on special teams. That's going to move him up.
Definitely. Mr. Eby.
I think this is I think Elijah Moore is a guy that I loved when I was thinking he'd be more of a back end of the second round, early third round steal. But I think if you really love Elijah Moore, like you're gonna have to go up and get around this 202, 203, 204 mark, or risk missing on him. So I love the player there. But there's no way I could have passed on Jalen Waddle. So I'm going Jalen Waddle 204. And if I had a Jalen Waddle at 204, this is the guy that unlocked Devonte Smith, allowed Devonte Smith to be what he was going to be this year. Because as soon as he went down with that injury, it kind of opened the floodgates for Smith. But Jalen Waddle, another just electric, high level, high end, high ceiling receiver. And damn, he's fun to watch, man. And he could hit a guy if he needs to, right?
Definitely. Jalen Waddle's a good one for sure. I mean, I've seen the speed and some comps that he's got, and he's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see how he translates over into the NFL and where he lands. For me, I'm going to double dip in the North Carolina running backs, apparently, because I'm going with Michael Carter on this one at 205. I really like Michael Carter, man. The best comp that I can think of is like Darren Sproles, but with more power. I see a bit more power in Michael Carter than I saw in Darren Sproles as an Eagles fan. So I think there's a role to be had for him. I think that he's not a guy who's going to go down with arm tackles. He's not a guy that's going to go down on first contact. I know that a lot are like, oh, well, look at Javonta Williams and stuff. And he was very kind of stuck behind him. Probably could have had some more work if he was in a different backfield. But I really like Michael Carter. I think like his pass catching ability and his ability just coming out of a backfield altogether is, even if he's a number 2 somewhere, I think he can be like, he can fit in somewhere like a Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt type situation. He can be one that second piece of a backfield that would be really scary to have and that could complete a really good 2-headed monster.
I like it. So like I said, I'm doing this based on team, like I'm drafting from a team. So this team took Travis Etienne in the first round, super flex. I'm taking this guy. He's very high, actually, on my QB rankings. It's Kyle Trask. I'm taking him, man. Can't, especially at 206. It's definitely worth the risk for me. At like I said before, quarterback 2 to quarterback 6 in this class, pretty interchangeable for me. Just depends on your preference. I don't see anything that Kyle Trask does significantly worse than Zack Wilson does. And Zack Wilson all of a sudden boomed up people's boards, and Kyle Trask isn't. Meanwhile, Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts are like unanimous first-round picks in the NFL draft, and the guy throwing on the ball is dog shit, just straight dog shit, according to people. So
he is.
Yeah. I like his footwork, man.
I think me, man, Kyle Trask is this year's Jacob Eason. I think it's worth a dart throw, but if you're gonna reach for him, like I'll gladly draft for people that want to reach for Trask. Now that could change if a team all of a sudden decides the same thing as you, Mr. Nastic, that hey, he's not dog shit, and we're gonna go ahead and give him the keys to the car here. But I just didn't see enough. I think he's consistent. I don't think he's a quarterback that's gonna go lead your team to playoffs to. He just didn't seem like he has that ceiling to me. So, I think he's a consistent quarterback, but to me, he's more of a backup guy that I would love to see him get drafted to somewhere with like an older quarterback so he could sit for a year, kind of, learn and develop a little bit more, and if that's the case, then I think when these drafts roll around, you're probably going to be able to get him a little bit later too. Probably like, that back end second. But again, you got to go get your guys. Super flex, quarterbacks are expensive. So, I'm just he's with so many quarterbacks in there. If I'm going after a quarterback, probably going early, or if he falls, I might mess with it in the third round.
Just watching his tape, it almost seemed like he was forced to go to Pitts though. Like there'd be a guy wide open and then he would throw to Pitts in like double coverage. And then it was like, it was forced to, like he had to go to that route. Like he had to go to that read. So like, I don't know, man. I think a lot of it was like force fed by the coaches telling him like, listen, man, you got to go to Pitts no matter what on this play, especially in the end zone. Like I saw a lot of times, like if he would have just waited a second, and maybe like waited for a read to come open, he would have had an easier touchdown pass. But I like his footwork. I like his stance. His drop back is good. The read issue that could be worked out, especially if he sits a year behind a vet. I actually do like that.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue for me. Is he? I don't know if he's forced to go there because if the coach is doing that, that's ridiculous. But I think he's just locking onto these guys. And my issue is you don't see him go beyond those first two reads very often. And if that's the case in the NFL, you're going to be
he's going to get picked if that's the case.
It's really easy to stop two players in the NFL. Big time. Yeah, he's going to get eaten alive. So if he sits for a year, it allows him to develop. That's just my 2 cents. But decision making and just reads in general is probably top on my board when I'm looking at quarterbacks.
Love it. Yeah. I'm not for me personally, I wasn't huge on Kyle Trask, but I know the value that's there and the value add that could be there. But sitting behind a quarterback definitely would bring some massive value to Kyle Trask. He's definitely someone who, with the right work, I think he can definitely become something in the NFL. But that something also depends on how many jobs are available in the quarterback market. So, Mr. Eby, back to you with the 207.
Man, I'm just feeling like I'm stealing here. Terrace Marshall, 207. This is a guy that, I think got forgotten about a little bit, but he's another guy with a crazy ceiling. He's fast. He's big. He's 20. He's a young dude still developing. And when he had the chance to produce, he did. And that offense was very, very questionable. But Terrace Marshall just looks the part. He's behind Chase, Jefferson along the way. So it's easy to get forgotten there. But LSU's done really well recruiting receivers. And I like what I've seen from Terrace Marshall. And he is a guy that I would consider early in the second round. So 207, it feels like a big time steal.
Yeah, I don't know. I was never huge on Terrace Marshall. I haven't been huge on him yet. Maybe I gotta watch more film. Maybe I'm just missing the boat on that one. But for me at 208, I'm gonna go with a tough one. This is a tough one for me, but I'm going with someone who's starting to creep up boards and someone who I've heard too much about not to take the shot at him here, and I'm going with Tamorrion Terry. I've heard just so much good stuff about him, and like he's got the size, he's got the speed. Obviously, people talk about the character issues and whatever. Go ahead and talk about the character issues, but the ceiling's there. For me, after the first 15 picks, you can basically throw darts at a lot of these guys. And Tamorrion Terry is someone who has a really sexy ceiling if he can hit it. And the floor wouldn't be terrible for Terry either.
Okay, so here's where
I love the
209.
take.
I have. This is where I'm struggling now between. There's one guy I want, and then there's one guy I probably should take. Fuck it, man. I know it's not a tight end premium. I'm taking Brevin Jordan, man. I like the kid. Again, just like Ben said with Pitts, I'm not concerned about him producing in year one. It's not a need pick. If I'm taking him in the second round, it's a developmental pick because I don't want to let him go. And I like him, man. I like him. I know he's not on the Pitts level, but he's a discount Pitts.
Yeah, I love Brevin. I love Brevin Jordan too. I mean, like the value on Kyle Pitts is absurd right now. Like if you want to go for Jamar Chase or somebody that's up there going around Pitts, then you go for them, and then you get a guy like Brevin Jordan in this position like you're in. I think that's a steal, a really good. Like I think Brevin Jordan's got the potential to turn into something really nice at the tight end position, especially in a league where it's what are you going to do for me today? And that's what the NFL is. And Brevin Jordan's a yards after the catch type of guy. I mean, what his ceiling will bring at the NFL level, that remains to be seen. But there seems to be a lot more tight end job openings open up year over year. So Brevin Jordan could find himself in a nice spot.
I've normally even taken him in the third, but I'll just be honest with you, man. I don't trust you guys. You guys are gonna fucking take him on me before he would have went to the third, I think. So I'm just gonna reach.
You reach, man.
Oh man.
All right, Ben, you got the 210.
Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have a whole bunch of receivers to let develop or go out there and hit the trade market because I got to take Amon-Ra St. Brown, man. He is a guy that
That's
coming
the
from
guy.
the Devy world early on in the game. He is a dude, and you actually saw, I believe it was I can't even remember who it was against now. It might have been against UW, which is my team, but he had 4 touchdowns in the first quarter in the game this year. It just kind of showed off what his ability is, and they were all short touchdowns. But it just shows his short area quickness, his route running, his athletic ability. He's just a good all around receiver and a guy that I could see really, really towards. You're already hearing, he's moving up a little bit onwards. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, man, that's a steal at the end of the second round, and someone that could blow up a la Terry McLaurin type later second, early third steal.
I like it. That was the guy I was considering in between. I actually think the fact that his brother Equimenius hasn't really popped yet is going to kind of scare some people away and keep them down a little bit, which I like.
Yeah, totally different players, but yeah, for sure.
I know they're totally different
stuff.
players. Yeah, I like them.
I like that pick. That's a good pick. Definitely throwing some steals Ben's way in this mock draft. It seems. For me at the 211, I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna take the dart throw on a quarterback. I'm gonna go with Kellen Mond. I really like Kellen Mond. I liked what I saw at the Senior Bowl. I like the potential that's there. He's got the mobility. He definitely has some things to work on, but I think that's some things that if a coach hones in on the right things, Kellen Mond can definitely be a starter in the NFL. And I mean, like his size and his athleticism and his mobility is something that is unparalleled, I think. And that's something that intrigues me. But he's kind of like Kyle Trask in a way that he probably is going to have to sit behind somebody and see what happens, see what he can grow into, see what a coach can mold him into, and hopefully he can jump into a start and roll.
I like it. I know you like Kellen Mond. You're a little higher than I am, but I'm higher on Trask.
I got Kellen Mond on a bunch of Devy leagues. I've had him sit on those rosters for a couple years. Definitely worried about how it's gone, but yeah, he did well at the Senior Bowl, right? So I don't think he'll get drafted into a situation where he'll have an easy path. So it will be interesting to see. Your hope again, kind of like Trask, is that he goes somewhere with an old quarterback, in my opinion. So, or behind someone like Teddy Bridgewater, if they don't go with a quarterback early on, which we expect them to. But some of those guys end up changing their mind. We don't know. So, yeah, cool stuff.
Love it, Jim. Let's close out round 2.
10 round 2. This is actually the furthest I've seen this player drop in any of the mocks that I've actually participated in. It's running back Kenneth Gainwell, man. I like him. The Memphis back, I don't know if he'll end up producing on the NFL level right away or if he's going to be part of like a 1-2 punch. But 212, man, to get a running back, it's either him or, well, I can't say the other running back because then you'll take him. But it was out of 1 or 2 running backs, and I think he's got the biggest and best upside, especially at 212, man.
Love it.
So,
what a way to wrap up the first 2 rounds of this mock draft. And just like Mr. Eby said before we came on the air, we're going deep. We're going 3 rounds. And we'll try and help some people out to see if they can find some steals later on. But before we do that, let's get a quick word from our sponsors over at Monkey Knife Fight.
If you want the best DFS player prop games in the industry, jump onto Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight is sweeping the nation right now, and we at True North are proud to be doing it along with them. They've got games for all sports and skill levels that are sure to keep you on the edge of your seat, with endless opportunity to watch your winnings pile up. With our promo code TNFF, Monkey Knife Fight will match your first deposit up to $50. So sign up now with our promo code and you can get up to $50 of free money to start making some bank. Again, that's monkeyknifefight.com and the promo code is TNFF at your first deposit to start playing today.
All right, let's kick off with the 301, Mr. Eby.
I'm going to continue down this wide receiver path. So let's bring on down a guy that is either loved or hated out there in the community right now. But I just love the physical toughness. I think he hasn't been challenged enough, and I think his college quarterback sucks, to be fair. And that's Seth Williams. He's just a monster receiver with monster ability. But he's going to have to, some things that I typically look at are, what are they about mindset wise? What are they about? Are they mentally tough? And I'm not sure with Seth Williams. I like how physical he plays, but he checks out a lot. So in the 3rd round, I'm looking for guys that have that ceiling to be a stud wide receiver or a stud running back or whatever it might be. And Seth Williams definitely has the ability. So I'm happy to pick up a 6'3", 210-pound wide receiver like him this late.
Interesting.
As an Auburn fan, I'll tell you right now, yeah, his quarterback does suck.
Bo Nix. Trash.
My God.
He's definitely very, very polarizing within the community. Definitely. So that's an interesting one, though. But yeah, you can't go wrong with that profile for sure. For me, I'll continue down the wide receiver path as well here. For me, I'm going to go with Demetric Felton. I really liked what I've seen from Demetric Felton. He actually plays as like kind of a hybrid running back, wide receiver type role. Almost reminds me of Tariq Cohen, but nicer, more polished. There's some about him that stands out. The Senior Bowl, he looked really nice. I'm not going to go too much into go look at him beating guys one-on-one. I don't love the way that people look in on that at the Senior Bowl and really hone in on that is something to look at. But I like watching film for Demetric Felton. I like what he can bring. He can play all over the field. He can go outside. He can play in the slot. He can play out of the backfield. He's going to be able to do a lot of things. And he's going to be a really Swiss Army knife type player for a team. And I think a team will be surprised at what he'll be able to produce, which will also be nice. What I think will be decent production from a fantasy perspective as well.
I like it. So I'm going to take, I can't believe this guy. There's another guy, you love him, you hate him. I love him. Came back from an MCL tear pretty damn fucking fast. Amari Rodgers, man. He's a guy, especially in the 3rd round, I'm willing to take I think he's like 210, 212 pounds, 5'11", I think. He's a good size for me. I like it.
That's a good one. I thought about that one too. This was between Felton and Rogers for me, so I was hoping he'd slide a little more, but as we've learned in this mock draft, don't wait.
No, I'm just fucking everything up. Oh man!
All right, Mr. Eby, back over to you.
All right, I'm gonna go with another. Go figure, another wide receiver here. You guys love the other positions, so let's roll with Dyami Brown, a guy that just lit it up with North Carolina, and you pretty much saw every time the ball was going deep from Sam Howell, it was going to Dyami. He's a guy that can stretch the field right out of the gates for teams, so I think that'll allow him to have a role. But when you really dig into his film, he could do a whole lot more than that. He is great in the short area. He's going to be a yards after catch monster. So yeah, with the role, stepping in early on to be the deep ball guy, I think that he'll show what else he can do on the field. And this is a great potential pick. I love Dyami Brown.
I like it. That's definitely a nice
Dynamic
pick. With my next pick, I see the potential. He's very polarizing as well, and I do not like him, but I'm going to take him because I see the potential that's there. I've seen where he's going in some drafts. I'm going with Kadarius Toney. I know, I've seen some nice things. His route running it had some moments. I mean, the one-on-ones at Senior Bowl, he made some people look foolish. Didn't catch a ball after the fact, but made some people look foolish. He's got really nice speed. He's got good size. Like he's a yards after the catch monster. He was a really one of Kyle Trask's favorite weapons. So this is someone who I think has a lot of potential at the NFL level for sure. He could be just a yards after the catch slot guy, but I mean, I love you looking at yards after the catch. If you're creating a lot for yourself, if you're creating a lot for your quarterback, then they're going to go to you early and they're going to go to you often.
So third round, I'm not really looking. I don't think any of these guys are going to have jobs in the running back room to make potential significant impacts right away. So I swing for more wide receivers here. And it's a guy that I liked. He was a good recruit coming in. His quarterback sucked. He's going to fall because his quarterback sucked. It's Nico Collins, man, out of Michigan. Being tied to Shea Patterson did him no favors. Man, that wide receiver group was supposed to be like lights out. They had Donovan Peoples-Jones. They had Nico Collins. And who's the third guy there? I always forget the third guy. But these were 3, 4, and 5-star recruits coming in. Then you get tied up with Shea. He's fallen because of it. I like his skill set. I like his talent. And to get him in the third, take a dart swing, I have no problems with it.
I like that one. Nico Collins is we're gonna assume that was a dart throw, not a dart swing.
Yeah.
But Nico Collins is an interesting one for me because he's fairly athletic and he's a big boy. He's another big boy in this receiving class. Feels like this receiving class, a lot of people were held back by their quarterbacks. Seems to be a common thread that we're going by here. Mr. Eby, 307 coming down the backstretch.
All right. I'm going to go with another tight end here. I know we're not in tight end premium, but I'm going to go with Pat Freiermuth. He is a guy that is just does everything
Connor's
well,
boy.
And he's a big boy. Yeah, Connor knows. So he's a guy that he may get forgotten, and I might even have him a little bit above Brevin, who I love, just from an all-around standpoint. Potential's there to be a monster. And, I think the NFL is at a point where a lot of teams need a great, great tight end. And he could be one of those dudes that just rises up and becomes a top 6, top 7 dynasty tight end real fast.
Yeah, I mean, a guy whose nickname is Baby Gronk is definitely something to really get you intrigued. I was going
too much.
I was going with Pat Freiermuth with my next pick, so that's a shame for me. So back to my list of players here. I am gonna go with it's getting tough. It's getting tough. It's getting dirty here. I'm gonna go with the tight end still. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna go Kenny Yeboah. I really like him. He's a yards after the catch guy too. Not a terrible blocker, but more of a receiving tight end. This late in the draft, like you're looking for a guy like Kenny Yeboah could maybe possibly take the same track as Darren Waller in the NFL. It might take him a bit more time to hit, but it's someone that you can have wait in and sit in. And the ceiling looks nice. I think the ceiling's nice with him. And he did really good in Ole Miss over the past couple of years, despite the weapons that were around him in Ole Miss, who were also taking targets from him. So who knows what might come of this guy. But I'm a big guy, especially when I'm looking at tight end, looking at that yards after the catch with tight ends.
I like it. I definitely like it. Probably one of the only running backs that I definitely feel comfortable taking here. He's also fallen significantly. Last year, he would have been very, very high in people's draft. That's Chuba Hubbard, man. I'm gonna go with him, especially in the third round, man. I don't think you're really like. I'm looking at the guys around him. He's got probably the best upside to do something. You know what I mean? He was what was he?
Just has to learn how to block.
4 last year. Yeah, just has to learn how to block. But you know what? There's a lot of running backs that like aren't really good at the pass protection coming in. So yeah, I don't care. You don't get points for blocking, but I know it keeps you on the field. So either way, like I said,
certainly keeps you on the field.
Yeah, third round. Though, like I said, I'm looking at the guys here. He's probably got one of the highest upsides anyway for right now.
Definitely. I can definitely see that. He was the other person I was debating when the Kenny Yeboah pick was made for me. So he's definitely someone with some intrigue, some upside, definitely an RB2 in an offense no matter what. I don't think that he's going to have that RB1 upside unless a major injury happens and he really steps out of the shadows.
But he's definitely, like I said, you did this draft last year. He comes out, no way he's falling to the third round. No,
probably maybe first. End of the first round, top of the second, at the worst that you'd be looking at. So the final 3 picks, Mr. Eby, take it away.
I mean, I have to get my guy on here, regardless of a reach. This is a guy that I could end up, depending on what picks I have in leagues this year, I could end up taking earlier in the third round. And that is the most electric player that I have watched in college football in a while. That's Jalen Darden. And he comes from a small school in North Texas, but he is as electric as they come. And I just haven't seen footwork like his. He's scary, and I hope he goes to a creative, offensive coach that understands how to, put him in position to win. He's not your typical, big time wide receiver from a size standpoint, but he's scary with the ball in his hand. So this late in the game, I'm happy to go and roll it down.
It's very good. I also liked what Jamar Chase was saying about him too recently. That's going to give him a little bump there too. I like it.
I like it too. I remember watching the Elite Seekers episode about him, and then I looked him up, and I was like, man, this guy's I mean, Matt Nagy went so far as to say maybe Tyreek Hill. I'm okay with the Deshaun Jackson comp. The Tyreek Hill comps, I feel, is a little excessive, but I can see him being like a Deshaun Jackson-esque player, someone who creates big time down the field for you.
Yeah, he could be a guy that's a better version of last year's Darnell Mooney, in my opinion, that, gets picked later, but can come in and just earn his reps because of what he can do on the field. A little bit smaller guy, but the guy can ball. So I really give a damn about size. If you can ball, let's go.
I like it.
Yeah, I definitely like that one. For me, I'm going to go and I'm going to get a receiver that I really like here, just since we're just throwing darts at this point. Marquez Stevenson out of Houston. I really like him. He's a taller guy with some speed. I mean, he's nothing sexy, but I think that he can get in somewheres and carve out a role. I think like you look at last year, like a guy like John Hightower, similar speedy guy, decent size, decent. I'll be intrigued to see what his athletic metrics are, what he measures out at. Not that they matter that much, but it'll be interesting to see how he measures out and weighs into some of the other competition. But he's a really fast guy for his size, and I think that that's something that can really intrigue some teams. And like if you're throwing a dart late, like this guy will probably is definitely a day 3 pick if he's getting drafted in the NFL draft. If he lands on your roster as a wide receiver 4 or 5, you never know what the upside could be with him and what he could do on the outside for you. But he's definitely more strictly an outside wide receiver in my eyes. But the speed's there. The speed and size are what intrigued me about him.
So the last pick, there's been 2 wide receivers I've been scooping up in the 3rd round. One of them went 2 picks earlier, Jalen Darden. The other one's Jonathan Adams Jr. out of Arkansas State. After Kane Fossil put me on him, I have been all over this guy. He's consistently gotten better every single year. Put up 1,100 yards in 10 games, something like that. He's the only really receiver that was kicking around in Arkansas. I mean, like, there's no real other viable threat this year. Give him to me again, like end of the 3rd round. It's a dude. They're bat swings, dart throws, whatever you want to call them, man. But 6'3", 220, give them to me all day. He can give you a potential wide receiver 1, especially in the 3rd round.
Love it. I love it.
Potential is a key word there, though. Potential. Probably.
we all just had to take a dart swing at our favorite deep wide receivers to end the draft. But I mean, me personally, my feeling is like this wide receiving class is definitely deep, but from a fantasy relevant standpoint, I just don't see it as deep as some people. I think it's deep. Like there's going to be a lot of guys who go to the NFL and do really well, but are going to be nothing for a fantasy roster. Not something that you really want to roster, in my opinion. I think, I mean, once you get outside the top 5, 6, 7, 8 receivers there, that's pretty much all the ones that you might get wide receiver 3 and upside in the NFL, in my personal opinion. But I think there's too much being made about a deep class. Deep class doesn't always mean that it's deep from a fantasy perspective. So that's the one thing that hangs on me about everybody tweeting, look how deep this class is. For me, it just bothers me because look at the free agent class we're looking at. Look at the free agent class next season. Look at like how many jobs are there really available to make yourself fantasy relevant as a wide receiver?
I agree with you. The way I think when they're saying deep, though, it's like positional need. Like if you need wide receiver, you can load up on like 201 to 206, and you can hit like 2, 3, 4 good wide receivers in that range. If you're looking for quarterback, then yeah, you might need to be trading up and go into the early 1st or top half of the 1st. Same with running backs. I think running backs, you're looking at like really 3, maybe 4 guys that I really like, and that's more of a back end 1st round, beginning of the 2nd, mid-2nd range. So I think it depends on what you position you're looking for when you say deep, right? Because like some draft classes, those 2nd rounders are really worthless after like 203. Then I don't really want anything to do with them. But this draft class, I'm fine with taking anywhere between 201 to 206, and taking those, especially if I need wide receiver. Like you saw the wide receivers that were available. They're fucking, even what Ben was taking in the 3rd, it was crazy. So positional need, I think, there.
Yeah, and I think it depends on your strategy too. So for me, the reason I created Elite Seekers is because I am swinging for the fences with these guys. So I think it's a deep class because I think there is guys that you get extra late that could eventually be a wide receiver or wide receiver 2 for their teams, right? They have the potential, like a guy even like Sage Surratt, who we didn't even pick, right? You look at the quarterback position, another quarterback that could move around and probably falls into that Kellen Mond mold, maybe even a little bit better. But we didn't get to see him this year with COVID and everything. That's Jamie Newman. That's a guy that, now we're talking about slips into the fourth. We didn't even nobody picked up Trey Sermon, right? So another guy that has flashed. Jamar Jefferson, another guy that has flashed. So there's guys that, they have the potential, and we talked about, Nico Collins got taken, Tamorion Terry. Who else outside of that first 5 or 6? Like, it's loaded with guys that have some freakish abilities. So if they can put it all together, and that's an if, right? The hit rate's not going to be high, but I think it's got more potential deeper into the game than typical. So that's, for me, that's why I do agree with a deeper class. Again, the hit rates are going to be lower the farther out you go. Draft capital, where they end up landing, all those pieces are going to be a big part of the pie this year. But I think if you can go pretty deep and have guys that have the ability to be top, 30, top 20 at their position.
I can definitely agree to that, especially in the wide receiver. If you can carve out a role in the NFL and you can prove to your quarterback, hey, look at me, look what I can do, and then they're going to keep going to you, man. Quarterbacks are going to keep going to you. They're going to give you the opportunity to succeed. And we've seen it in the NFL before, that these opportunities that are given, and they're not just taken, they're given to the ones who are most deserving. And there are some guys who, like you said, have that freakish athletic ability that really could be the thing that makes them stand out over someone who's already on a roster. I mean, there are definitely some landing spots where there's a lot of opportunity. You land in a Detroit right now as a receiver. You land in a New York with the Jets, a New York with the Giants, somewhere it's not going to take just one receiver to fix it, but multiple receivers to fix it. Some of these guys could suddenly have very intriguing upside, and the ceiling may not be so far away.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go around the horn. That was my personal thought and take from this whole thing. It is definitely a deep receiving class. There's some upside. There's some freakish abilities that could turn into some really good opportunities in the NFL. We'll just go around. Final thoughts for the listeners on the way too early portion of this. I'm sure everyone's perspectives will change as we continue and the landing spots get decided there on draft day. But we'll start with you, Jim. Any final comments?
Oh, no, man. I pretty much summed it up there, where I think this draft is based on your team need going into it, on where you want to be stacking up your draft picks. Like I said, if you want wide receivers, trade back, pick up some early second rounders, and just swing for the fences there from, like I said, 201 to 206. Hit 6 wide receivers and just swing for them, man. There's fantastic wide receivers you're going to have there. But if you need running backs, then I think you're going to have to pay up. Same with quarterbacks. Try to get into the top half for quarterbacks and back end for running backs in the first round.
Love it, definitely. What about you, Ben? Any final comments as we continue our grind of the off season?
Yeah. I think again, the landing spots are going to be huge, as they always are, right? Draft capital is big. It's going to be interesting without a traditional combine. So as these numbers come out, you got to take them with a grain of salt. Continue to do your research, see where these players have trended. That's going to be a big piece, but I think it's worth going after second, third, and fourth round picks, if you enjoy dart throws, because really from that middle of the second round to the end of the third, maybe even, get into that early fourth, those guys could be really interchangeable for people in your leagues. So being that's the case, is going to create more opportunities for value drops and, depending what your board looks like. So I think it's a great time to go pick up, extra draft picks now. Don't wait till draft day, because that's going to be a lot more expensive as it ramps up. But try to unload some of those players that you think are going to, not help you as much or don't fit into your timeline of winning a championship, and, go after some dart throws. It's a good year for dart throws. I'll say that.
Yes, the elite seeker himself. Just couldn't have said it better. All right, Ben, this was awesome having you on. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this mock draft with us and sharing all this wisdom with the listeners. And let people know where they can find you, at.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having me on. I respect what you guys do, and just two of the greatest guys out here, man. Fellow Canadians, it's a blast. So it's an honor to be on here. Thank you guys so much. Anybody listening, you guys can find me at the Ben Eby. I just recently changed that. It was Mr._EB, but I'm rolling with a brand across all my social media now. So at the Ben Eby is where you can find me. I was the creator and host of the Elite Seekers podcast, powered by Destination Devy. So that's every Friday. You can check that out. We typically are going to be focused on underclassmen in Devy. So if you want to see who your favorite college team is going to play, who's coming in from the next recruiting class, check me out on Fridays. Try to keep it in that 20 to 25 minute range for you so you can listen to it on the way to work. And you can find that on any podcast platform by searching Destination Devy, and we will be labeled in the title there as Elite Seekers. But we also just kicked off something cool with NBA Top Shot. We started a new thing with Jordan Richards and Brandon Gonzalez-Cottrell, both helping out over at Destination Devy there. We started a new YouTube channel, and eventually we'll roll out to a podcast as well. That's called NFT Block Gang. You can find us at NFT Block Gang on Twitter. You can find it at NFT Block Gang on YouTube. And if you're curious about what Top Shot is, come check us out. We've had fun. We've already rolled out a couple episodes since Saturday, and it's just a lot of fun. So, sports world, if you enjoy basketball, jump in and check us out. We're having some fun over there as well.
I can see Jim is immediately gone to search because he's been all about this NBA Top Shot every time we get on.
Man, I got to get him on. I think I might be following him. I'm not sure. No, see, I'm not. And now I am, because that's like that. See?
We did a giveaway the other day too. Yeah, we even gave away a moment the other night. So yeah.
And I wasn't following.
Love it. And make sure that you go and follow the entire True North Fantasy Football crew. We're a part of the True North Fantasy Football Network. Of course, they can be found on Twitter at True North FFB, YouTube, TNFF Network, and on the old internet at TrueNorthFFB.com. And until next week, have a good one, and we will see you then.